Hello, Arkansans. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, we've got a great crowd here. I see that we got the bottom full, and we still have folks coming in upstairs, so please just keep on filtering in. Thank you all for coming. We're going to get started in just a moment, but before we do that, would everyone please rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I want to thank Springdale High School and their school board for hosting us here. I want to thank in particular Superintendent Jim Rollins and the principal, Pete Jinks. I know it was kind of last minute for Springdale. You know, we started a 400-person venue. We had to go to a 1,200-person venue. Here we are at a 2,200-person venue. I hope we're going to be able to accommodate everyone. While I'm in the business of welcoming and thanking people, I want to welcome and thank two particular people that are important to me. My parents, Lynn and Avis Cotton. And I also want to thank in particular one person who I just had the pleasure of meeting backstage, Caitlin Moses. Caitlin, please. Caitlin, I tell you what, please come up on stage here. So I know Caitlin is responsible for helping spread the word about this event tonight and getting a lot of you here, and I want to thank her for that. Caitlin and I had the opportunity to visit a couple weeks ago, and I apologize for a misunderstanding and an inconvenience whenever we had a meeting canceled at my staff. And no, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. So to express my appreciation and my gratitude, I just wanted to give her a chance to ask the first question.
Well, I would actually like to delegate my question to somebody else. Right over here.
Who did you want?
This lady here.
The lady in the red?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Caitlin. Yes, ma'am. Your name is Amy? Amy Gillespie. And where are you from, Amy? I am from Bella Vista. Thank you for driving down. Just hold on, let her speak. You can. We can hear her. Speak up, Amy. Come on. Everybody, just let her speak. Let her speak.
children, my daughter right here, who fear that our family might be separated and their daddy might be sent away, or that they might have to leave the only home that they have ever known. These are real fears, Senator, every one of them. What message are you sending to families like mine? Can you look at my little girl, look her in the eye, and tell her that we're not welcome here, that we're not valued in the state of Arkansas or in this country?
No, Amy, you are. So, Amy, thank you for sharing your story. Of course, you and your husband and your children are welcome here. My legislation wouldn't affect you at all. So you say your husband first came on an H-1B program, right? So my legislation doesn't affect a single employment-based visa or green card into this country. And once you have a green card, it still gives preferences to spouses and to unmarried minor children. And I think that we need to reform a lot of the programs, like the H-1B program. It sounds like your husband came here, got an education, is very high skilled. Those are the kind of visas that we want to give out under the H-1B program. But there's no doubt. There's no doubt that in the H-1B and the H-2A and the H-2B programs, there have been abuses. There have been abuses of American workers. There have been abuses of the foreign workers who come here under those programs. But my legislation would apply only to non-employment-based immigration. And once you have a green card, or once you're a citizen, or once you're married to a citizen, it would have no effect whatsoever. Only newly issued ones, and we'd still be issuing over 500,000 green cards a year, making us still the most generous country in the world when it comes to welcoming immigrants to our shore. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to the next. Hold on. We have another very special person here in the audience that I want to recognize. I don't know who it is. Let's find out who the special person is. So raise your hand if you drove more than 2 hours to be here. Over 2 hours to be here. Keep it up if you drove over 3 hours. Keep it up if you drove over 4 hours. Ma'am, where are you from, ma'am? Conway. Sir, we had one down here. Where are you from, sir? Little Rock beats Conway. Is anybody further away than Little Rock? Ma'am, where are you? Benton. Benton beats Little Rock. Arkadelphia? Arkadelphia beats Benton. Okay. Sir, why don't you stand up? We'll take Arkadelphia. We'll take Arkadelphia. People, let him speak. Let him speak, please. Let him speak, please.
I'm a constituent of yours from Arkadelphia. I was a science professor at Ouachita Baptist University. Now I'm a grant writer. Thank you for your military service and your concern for our national security.
Thank you.
I agree with you that we should take a stronger stance against ISIS. And I understand your desire to mentioned your desire to improve our military hardware and armed forces, but these are traditional responses to traditional threats. The Department of Defense says that climate change is a threat multiplier that will increase frequency and cost of military actions as countries around the world struggle to cope with more frequent extreme weather, drought, famine, disease, and climate refugees. The Pentagon has even said that all military planning and preparation activities must consider climate change. At an energy policy discussion 3 years ago, you acknowledged that climate change is real and that humans are responsible. Given your desire to bolster national defense and to save us the expense of future interventions, what are your specific plans to address climate change now?
Thank you for the question. So, the question's about climate change, and specifically in the context of our military and security threats, which are very real. If you look around the Eurasian supercontinent, people get more and more into the coastal areas, which creates more and more instability if you have floods or tsunamis or what have you. I would like, though, to open the lens a little bit and talk about climate change and responses more broadly than just the military and security, if that's okay. So as you said, 3 years ago I said, as I've long said, that the great weight of evidence shows that the Earth's climate has warmed up in the last couple hundred years. It shows, I think there's good evidence, and it's a reasonable inference that 200 years of industrialization by human activity has contributed to that in part. What I have doubts about are the feasibility of some of the proposals to address that and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Now, from when we spoke 3 years ago about that, we were still just on kind of the beginning edge of the surge in natural gas production across America. Greenhouse gas emissions have fallen over the last couple decades in the United States. And that's in part because as we produce more natural gas and as the cost of natural gas has gone down, it's better than coal, and natural gas is a cleaner fuel than coal is. It's also in part because we have new cutting-edge coal-fired technologies like we have right down in southwest Arkansas. The plant in Fulton, Arkansas is one of the most advanced, one of the cleanest coal-burning plants in America. And we should promote that kind of proven, feasible technology. In addition, in addition to nuclear technology, which is also proven. Now, I hear a lot of people saying solar and wind and hydro, and those are an important part of an energy solution, no doubt about it. But they're intermittent. They're intermittent. It doesn't always, the wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine. What we have to do to promote that is to focus on more basic scientific research. Like we need to be able to have energy storage techniques so you can store the electricity that's generated by wind or by solar power, and you can use it in reversible electrical grids. So panels that are on homes can be put into the system when they're not used in the home. It's that kind of basic scientific research that's going to make things like solar and wind power more effective. So, hold on, folks. Let him.
My question was specifically, what will you do? And so will you commit here to increase funding for basic basic research through the National Science Foundation, the Department of Energy.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to commit to increasing funding for that in particular. I'll focus on making our energy research focused on that kind of basic scientific research, because that's where I think our dollars are best spent. Okay, I tell you what, I know we obviously got a lot of people. I know from some of the comments I've heard today and also the input we got in our office that healthcare is on a lot of people's minds. So why don't we do this? If you've got a question about healthcare, raise your hand, and maybe I'll run around to get more people in. Let's get more people in. I'll go around and I'll take like 4, 5, 6 comments and questions about healthcare. I'll answer them. We'll go more rounds if you want to do that. Okay? Right here, ma'am, in the yellow. You want to? Yes, ma'am, right here.
Are you going to pick the other people now, or should I go?
No, go ahead. Comment, question, we'll go around, and then I'll address them all in the end. All right, let's let her ask her question. Let's see if the AV people can find microphones and bring them out. But let this lady ask her questions. Maybe if we can find a microphone or two and have them here for the front, but also up for the top as well. Is that good? But right now we can take this lady's question.
Are we finding you a microphone, or should I just?
Go. You should go ahead and go.
Well, in that case, hello, Senator Cotton. My name is Katie McFarland. I'm from Springdale, Arkansas. My question is.
Stand next to you.
Yeah, stand next to me. My question is regarding the Affordable Care Act, which is also.
Well, we got one already right here. Okay, start from the top, Katie.
Please forgive me.
That's okay.
All right, well, thank you for being here, first of all, Senator Cotton. And my name is Katie McFarland. I'm from Springdale, Arkansas. And before I get into it, I would like everyone who is affected by the Affordable Care Act and affected by health care to stand up. Thank you. In case you couldn't tell, me too. All right, well, my family has been in the Ozarks since the 1800s. We are historically a Republican family, we're a farming family, we're an NRA family, we're an Army family. My uncles and my great-grandparents and my grandparents all were in the Army, Korea, World War II. Now, aside from inheriting their patriotism and their work ethic, I unfortunately inherited an incurable genetic connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS. EDS weakens my heart and my veins. It paralyzes my stomach. It affects and weakens my immune system. I qualify for Medicare, but unfortunately, it's useless for me since only 2 of my doctors, who are the only doctors in over a 500-mile radius who are familiar with my condition, accept Medicare. Without the coverage for pre-existing conditions, I will die. That is not hyperbole. I will die. Without the protections against lifetime coverage caps, I will die. Without the Obamacare or ACA exchange healthcare plan that I have elected to continue my COBRA, or continue after my COBRA, that is going to go into effect when I turn 26 this coming Sunday, I will die. Now, You have talked a lot about exercising caution in the repeal of the ACA, and that the repeal cannot happen with replacement. You are a proponent of repeal and replace. But it doesn't seem to me that you or your party seem to be doing much to ensure the replacement part. The entire GOP Senate... Thank you. Thank you. Sorry if I keep...
No, please.
Arthritis is kicking in. The entire GOP Senate voted recently, the 12th of January, on a budget resolution that would advance the... Thank you. That would advance the repeal of the act, but no similar resolutions were advanced to suggest replacement actions that would ensure the continuation of coverage for people with pre-existing conditions like myself. Continuing on that note, thank you. Your colleague, Senator Toomey, forgive my pronunciation, recently compared people like myself that go to companies with pre-existing conditions to houses that have already burned down. In addition to this, you made a statement on the 3rd of December 2015 saying that today the Senate took action to ease Arkansans' Obamacare burdens by voting to fully repeal this unworkable law. I was pleased the final bill passed the Senate included a provision to defund Planned Parenthood, which, by the way, is where I get my cancer screenings. Thank you. Which is an organization who has proven itself unworthy of government support. This vote was another important blow to Obamacare, but the fight isn't over. Rest assured, I am committed to repealing Obamacare and replacing it with a better system that truly makes healthcare more affordable and more accessible. But my specific question is, Senator Cotton, you talk a lot about the repeal, but you have not gone into specifics on replacement. So my question is, will you commit today to replacement protections for those Arkansans like me who will die or lose their quality of life or otherwise be unable to be participating citizens trying to get their part of the American dream? Will you commit to replacements in the same way that you have committed to the repeal?
Thank you, Katie. Thank you. We'll come to it in a minute. Thank you, Katie. Let's take a couple more comments or questions about health care, and then we'll move on. How about this? How about we do this? How about we do this? I know, hold on, some of you have your hands up. Can we? Why don't we do this? Why don't we let Katie decide? Do you want me to address your points now, or do you want me to take more points?
I think you should listen to them.
Okay. So Katie, I'm committed, after repealing Obamacare, to health care reform that fixes all the
In what way will you prevent coverage gaps?
You asked everyone.
Thank you.
You asked everyone to stand.
Will you prevent coverage gaps? Will you have a replacement in place to prevent coverage gaps the second the repeal goes through?
Katie, you asked everyone to stand up if they had been impacted by Obamacare. And a lot of you did. Not all of you did, which was a mistake. Everyone in this room has been hurt or helped by Obamacare.
I have only been helped. Obamacare saved my life, Senator.
Nobody here has not been affected by Obamacare.
Yes,
so you
because
talked about,
it saved my life, Senator.
and you talk about some of the problems with our healthcare system that predated Obamacare, like the inability of people to get pre-existing condition coverage. So, Katie, you were talking about some of the problems with our healthcare system before Obamacare. Lifetime caps, or the inability of people with pre-existing coverage to get coverage. Those are real problems. I'm not here to defend the healthcare system before Obamacare. Nor am I here to deny that Obamacare has helped many Arkansans. But it's also hurt many Arkansans as well. You know these people, they're your neighbors, they're your coworkers, they go to your churches. Katie, what I'm committed to is making sure that people with conditions as serious as yours, or young, healthy people, all have access to affordable, quality, personalized care. So, I'm committed, and you talk about the transition period. I'm committed to making sure that we have an effective, smooth transition period.
In what way will you ensure this, Senator, specifically?
So let's talk about a few of the things you discussed. You said you're going to turn 26 later this year?
On Sunday.
Sunday. So, early happy birthday. So, most people, to include most insurance companies, are fine with that provision because it keeps young people in the healthcare system. I'm pretty sure that that's going to be around after we repeal Obamacare.
In what way will you ensure that, Senator?
Well, insurance companies today can't exclude someone under the age of 26. I support that provision in the future as well. On pre-existing conditions, in the past, if you didn't have insurance, an insurance company could refuse to give you coverage from a pre-existing condition. Any approach we take is going to ensure that people who have continuous coverage cannot...
How will you ensure that, though, Senator, specifically?
Well, the
You're just restating my question, Senator.
Insurance companies can't do it. Insurance companies can't do that today. They won't
No,
be
they
able to...
can't, but if you repeal the ACA, they will be able to unless you take measures to prevent that. What specifically will you do to prevent that?
That if you have insurance today, you cannot be denied insurance
I'm
tomorrow.
not asking about today, Senator. I'm asking about once the ACA is repealed. What will you do, Senator, to prevent that in the future once you repeal the ACA?
So if you have... If you regulate insurance companies to say that they cannot deny someone with a pre-existing condition if that person has insurance, then they can't deny you when you move from one job to another or when you move
That
from a job...
specific regulation is the ACA, Senator, so what will you do to continue that after you repeal it? That is what I'm asking. Will you answer the question, sir?
It's called a continuous coverage requirement.
I know what it's called, Senator. I'm very familiar with healthcare with my condition. I'm not asking what it's called. I'm not asking what will happen today. What I'm asking is, once you repeal the regulations in place to protect people like me that are in the ACA, what specifically will you do to ensure in the future that we have those protections? I'm not asking about today. I'm not asking about what they're called. I'm asking about in the future once you repeal the ACA.
In the future system,
Please,
there is...
Senator, please let me finish asking my question. I don't know you, and I don't appreciate you apologizing on my behalf, sir. Anyways. As I was saying, Senator, what specifically will you do once you have repealed the ACA, which you have pledged many, many times over the years to do? What will you do to ensure that the protections inherent in the ACA, aka Obamacare, will continue?
Some of those same insurance regulations that we've been talking about will also be present in the future system as well. So
Can
they'll
you
be,
guarantee that? How will you guarantee that?
that's what I support. That's what I'm working towards.
I know you support that, Senator, but what I'm asking is how will you ensure it? You've
Well,
pledged
we'll go
yourself
through
to
the
repeal, but you have not talked much about the
We'll go-
replacement.
We'll go through the legislative process, and I'll make it clear what I support and what I don't support, what I think is good for Arkansas, and what's not good for Arkansas. I think, Katie, we have a lot of folks. We have a lot of folks still, a lot of folks who still want to ask questions. So, are we okay?
Well, before they ask theirs, I would appreciate if you actually answered mine.
Why don't we go to this lady right here?
But I can see you won't, so.
The lady right here in the blue shirt. Can you want to come down, ma'am? I mean, if you can speak up, and if everybody will just let her ask her question.
After I introduce myself, I am part of Better Medicare Alliance Group over all United States of America. I'm an ambassador, and I'm angry. We have an office in Washington, D.C. if you'd like to go visit us. I have a yes or no question for you. I could tell you 3 members of my family, including me, that would be dead, and homeless if it was not for ACA. I'm an angry constituent. You work for us. Not the other way around. We apologize for you. Now, to my yes or no question. I could tell you since 1991 our health insurance woes, and I'm not going to do that. My husband with dementia, Alzheimer's, plus multiple other things. And you want to stand there with him at home, expect us to be calm, cool, and collective. Wow, what kind of insurance do you have? Now, Mr. Senator Cotton, listen to this. We just did a photo shoot here in Springdale. We're going Medicare my way. Not your way, my way. I've got a husband dying, and we can't afford. Let me tell you something. If you can get us better coverage than this, go for it. Let me tell you what we have, plus a lot of benefits that we need. We have $29 per month for my husband. Can you beat that? Can you? With all the congestive heart failures and open heart surgeries and we're trying. $29 per month. And he's a hard worker. Now, $39 for me. Here's my question. I have sent you one message after the other, sir, about our family. And you know where we live? I don't live 3 hours from here. I don't live 2 hours from here. I live just down the road a few places from your office. And I have invited you into our home. And not a word except a classic, regular letter sent. Now, here's my question, yes or no? Will you come to my family's home? I promise you it will be safe. Sit down with the three of us and hear our stories from 1991 till now.
So ma'am, I'll be happy to meet with you and hear more about your story. We've got staff here. Ma'am, we'll make a decision about where we meet, but I'm happy to meet with you. Okay. We've got questions up here in the balcony. We haven't gone there yet.
Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
My name is Valerie Harris. I'm from Prairie Grove, Arkansas. I want to say I'm a teacher, first of all. Okay. I work in a residential facility in Fayetteville, and I work with special needs kids. I want to say this. I work 3 jobs, actually. And the reason I have to work 2 more jobs is because my health insurance at my first place of employment doubled in the last 3 years. I'd like to say that there are other stories, and there are a lot of people in Arkansas that do support Senator Cotton. And there are many people like myself, a single mom, okay? Single mom who pays taxes. My family came here many, many years ago from Italy, legally, okay? And thank you. My question is this. My son, I have 4 children, 3 that went to the University of Arkansas. My son is graduating, and he will be commissioned in the U.S. Air Force in May. My son has written a letter and given it to your staff over here because his detachment is requesting that Senator Cotton come and speak and be a distinguished guest at the commissioning ceremony. My question, number 1, I'd like to thank you for your service to this country. And I would like to tell you there are many people, the majority of people in Arkansas that support you. I'm asking that you read his letter, and his contact information is there. Thank you, Senator Cotton.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your son. Thank you very much for your son's service. We all appreciate and honor it, and we'll do everything to make sure he has the very best equipment and training and leadership that he can get. Why don't we go right here, ma'am, in the scarf? Yes, ma'am. And I would love to speak if we can make it fit in the schedule. Thank you for passing along the information.
Thank you, Senator Cotton, for being here today. First of all, I'm Mary Story from Fayetteville, and I am not a paid protester.
Mary, can I address that point that you just made?
Yes,
I don't
sure.
really care if anybody here is paid or not. You're all Arkansans, and I'm glad to hear from you. So, I know there's been some talk about that in the media. Some politicians have said that. I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out tonight, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. This is part of what our country is all about. Okay, let's let Mary finish. Sorry to interrupt.
All right. I'm here, like all the people who came with me tonight, as a concerned citizen. And we are concerned because it appears that this administration is trampling our constitutional rights. I am a lifelong Arkansan. 5 of my ancestors fought in the Revolutionary War. One of my ancestors signed the Declaration of Independence. And my 94-year-old father, who lives in Batesville, was awarded 7 Bronze Stars for his contribution in the 82nd and the 101st.
Screaming Eagle.
Yes. He hit the last battle he fought to protect our democracy was the Battle of the Bulge. So my question to you, because I feel like our freedoms and our liberties are being threatened, I want to know if you, like Senators McCain and Graham, will call for an independent, bipartisan commission to investigate President Trump, his campaign, and his administration. Thank you.
So, thanks very much for your question and for your family's history of service. The short answer is, I'm already part of that very inquiry you're talking about. So, I'm a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and let me. In fact, the last thing I did last week before the Congress recessed and we came home for this week was to spend over 3 hours in a hearing on this very topic. It was classified, but it has to be classified. I'm just telling you straight here. If we had a special committee in Congress or if we had an independent commission, it too would be classified because this information, it's just the nature of the material we're handling. This is just the nature of the information that we're handling. It's classified, it has to be classified. A second reason why I think the Intelligence Committee is the right venue. The Intelligence Committee has been investigating Russia and all of their malign activities to undermine confidence in our electoral system well into last year, and that continued after the election in November, and it's continued for the last month. So we already have a long head start. If you created a new organization, it would take probably at least 6 months to staff it up and do the background checks. This is This is simply the facts. So we would lose many months. We would lose many months if we tried to create any kind of new organization, because the FBI would have to vet all the staff and do background checks. But I can assure you, look, I think most of you. I think everyone here probably knows that I don't think Russia is a partner or a friend or anything else. For many years, I've been warning about the threat Russia poses. And I would submit to all of you that we are doing our job on that committee. It is bipartisan, I heard someone ask. Mark Warner is the Democratic Vice Chair of the Intelligence Committee. He supports this approach for those very reasons. And we are committed to following the facts wherever they may lead us. You can take confidence in that. So no, ma'am, I do not, unlike Lindsay and John, I support the investigation that we already have underway. Sir, you want to? Sorry, let's go here.
Thank you. My name is Chris Winsler. I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Thank you for coming tonight, Senator Cotton.
Thank you, Chris.
The question I have involves everyone in this room. It is not about identity. It is not about what you do in the privacy of your home. It is not about anything but the future generation of America. I am deeply, deeply troubled by not only the debt under George W. Bush, but the doubling of the debt to $19.5 trillion passed by the 111th Congress through fiscal stimulus, ACA, and other measures. I hear the constituents here. Everyone is snipping for a piece of the pie and money. And this is the result of us spending ourselves into the poorhouse. The federal, my question is, sir.
Go ahead.
The facts are plain. The U.S. government has taken in more in tax revenue this year than it ever has, yet we still run a deficit. What are your specific solutions to help this nation pay down its debt and get back to level spending?
Thank you, Chris. I think Chris, thank you. It's a very important question. I think everyone here can agree that whether you're Democrat or Republican or somewhere in between, that politicians in Washington have been spending way too much compared to what we take in for way too long. And Chris, you're right. Chris is right that it's not a problem that just started in the last 8 years either. It goes back much before that to Republican Congresses and Republican administrations as well. So the most important thing, I've had to bury people who were killed in war, so I don't want any more war either. But Chris, back to your question. I think the most important thing that we can do to get our budget back to balance is have a healthy, growing economy again. It's been growing at too slow a rate with not enough job creation. Too many people are not in the workforce, are not earning a decent wage and paying taxes on that. If we had a healthy, growing economy, like we did in the late 1990s, and you can apportion the credit and blame however you want to a Democratic president or Republican Congress or some mix of the two, we would get it back a lot closer to balance if we had a healthy, growing economy where more people were in the workforce and there were more people were taxpayers. That's the most immediate thing. Longer term, I know a lot of you here tonight obviously feel stress and anxiety about health care. Probably everybody does, given all the bureaucratic red tape you have to go through with any plan. but it's also, our healthcare system right now is not working for all of you as taxpayers either. Whether it's the Obamacare exchanges, or Medicare and Medicaid, or the Children's Health Insurance Program, or government employee health care, all that is the biggest pot of money that the government has. And we don't spend it efficiently. We don't spend it efficiently enough, and it doesn't deliver the value that you deserve as the beneficiaries of that. So those are the two most immediate things. This gentleman here was at the microphone early. I missed him, so let's go to this gentleman here.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you here. I'm sure your experience in the war zone almost prepared you for this. This is a pretty hostile crowd, as you can tell. The Tea Party.
I'm sorry, sir. What was your name?
I'm Dan Cootie from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And this is an overwhelming crowd. The Tea Party wave several years ago. Obviously, it's going to be swamped by a Democratic tsunami here this time. But I got to tell you, number one, clean coal is a myth. Number two, Americans spend twice as much on health care as the next most expensive country, and our outcomes are 17th in the world. I don't see why America, we're so egocentric. We can't look at every other industrialized nation in this world to see what they're doing and what we can learn from them. And number three, it didn't take 6 months to put 7 Benghazi committees together.
Okay, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Let me take them in turn. So we certainly have cleaner coal technology than we once did, but that's just ladies and gentlemen, go to Southwest Arkansas and visit the plant in Fulton. Many people make a living off, and many working people are struggling to make ends meet, get their electricity from coal. Now, one reason why we have fewer greenhouse emissions now is that we have moved from coal to natural gas, which is a cleaner technology. So your second point, I would agree that we spend too much money inefficiently in our healthcare system. We can spend it much more efficiently if we reform our system in the right way and give power and choice back to all of you. But that's one reason why so many people come to the United States to get health care, because our healthcare system is the best in the world. Okay, and your third point was about Benghazi. I'll just say that the experience of the Benghazi Select Committee actually informs my thinking about the Senate Intelligence Committee moving forward, because it was badly delayed. It was badly delayed. Okay, we're going to move on. We haven't gone over here yet, so I think whoever was first in line up there. Whoever's first in line.
Senator Cotton, I appreciate you coming today. First, my first comment before my question.
I'm sorry, what was your name, sir?
My name is Dylan.
Dylan, all right.
I'm from Bentonville.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I appreciate you coming today. My first comment has to do with the going to clean energy that you're referring to. I think we need to ask Tom Pruitt what he thinks about his state and the fracking that he's doing to get the gas out of his state, and the effects that it's happening. Or the effects that are happening are the earthquakes that are increasing every day. So, and then the polluting of the water as well. So that's not my question. My question is referring to Chris that asked the question down here. It's a great question because we have a huge deficit and it's increasing all the time. Excuse me. So my question is, if we're so concerned about the deficit, why are we building a wall that costs $20 billion? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Why are we building a wall that costs so much and it prevents so many families from coming here and starting a life that can pay taxes and make us great again by helping us decrease these deficits, let them be a citizen of this country and pay without fear that their country is going to send them away. These are citizens that contribute every day to the economy of the U.S., and they're living in fear, and we will drive them away, and how are we going to pay for the deficit? The next point is referring to the dreamers. They deserve their families to be here and not be separated and living in fear that their families. These are human beings that come here and work extremely hard every day to go to school, to get an education, and try to work for a job, some that they can't even apply for because they can't get citizenship, nursing degrees, anything to go past a 2-year college requires sometimes for them to be citizens, and we don't have an established path for them, so they're working for absolutely nothing, and we send them away without allowing them to pay the taxes. So my question to you, Senator, what are you going to do to fight the hypocrisy that we're seeing every day with everyone saying that they're so concerned about the deficit, but we don't take actual resolute action to make sure that we're paying it down? Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. Thank you, Dylan. So I'll say not every dollar of government spending is an equal dollar. You might not surprise you know you don't get a full dollar's worth of value for a lot of money spent in Washington. The most important thing is security and safety. That's why. That's why I think our government has to budget first for our military, our law enforcement, our civil court system. It's hard. I didn't say it's the only thing. I said it's the most fundamental and important thing that we get right. It's hard. It's hard.
Stop killing brown people.
Senator.
And in the same way that our military and that law enforcement is a critical part of our security and safety, securing our borders is a critical part of our security and safety. Okay. All right, this gentleman here has been waiting patiently. He's been waiting patiently, so let's listen to him.
So my name is Clint Schneckloth, and I'm the pastor at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Thank you, Clint.
And these are my people. And one of the things that I've been involved in for a number of years as a pastor is direct refugee resettlement.
I'm sorry, what refugee?
Refugee resettlement.
I thought there was something in front of refugee.
Direct.
Direct refugee.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we've had, I've been involved nationally with that, and now also here in Arkansas. It's a native Arkansas nonprofit And when we had the executive order here this last month, there were a couple of things here. You know, of course, there was all the impacts on the immigrant community, but then the big impact on refugee resettlement directly was the pause on refugee resettlement proposed for 120 days and then reversed. And then the concrete numbers are downsized after those proposed 120 days from 110,000 to 50,000. And what a lot of people aren't aware of and maybe don't think through is, you know, you imagine if you open a restaurant in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and then I tell you that you can't do business for 120 days with your restaurant, you know exactly what's going to happen with your restaurant, right? I mean, that's just not a sustainable business model. So what all of the refugee resettlements all around the country are dealing with right now is the real potential for basically completely undermining something that's a really important, long-standing American institution, which is that we welcome refugees. Now, your and my shared commitment is that you've actually sought to increase refugee resettlement to the United States on some levels, although it's a focused. Yours was more of a focused ask.
I can explain, yeah.
We do, yeah, like the targeted 10,000 that we wanted to do from Syria. We do refugee resettlement from all over the world. So the most recent arrivals are coming from Democratic Republic of Congo and Iraq and places like that. What we need from you, and I'm wondering if you can maybe outline a few of these ways that you might do this, is how can you ensure that we maintain our refugee resettlement at the quality and high levels that we've committed to, especially over the past couple of decades, so that we keep up a program that really benefits all of the United States?
All right. Thank you very much, Clint, for the question. And thank you most of all for the ministry you do for resettling refugee and that your church does. It's incredibly commendable.
Agree with Mr. Trump that the press, in which he includes NBC, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, is the enemy of the American people, yes or no?
No. So Marcia, the answer to your question is no. And Marcia, I would say this more broadly. I know we just had a very hotly contested campaign. It was very divisive. No American should look at another American as our enemy. We may be opponents, we may have disagreements, but at the end of the day, we're Americans, and we're fellow citizens in the same great country. So Samson, you want?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Follow up, Samson, on refugees?
Yes, sir. We have kids here today who are reading in their textbooks that many kids just like them about 70, 80 years ago were being torn apart from their homes, were being classified by their religion, classified by what they come from. There are kids here today that are in the same schools as kids with parents who are American, but they have parents who are not born in this country. Now, whose parents love America more? Neither. They both love it. Now, there are worried kids that I grew up with, that I played soccer with. Worried kids that I learned those textbooks with. I'm afraid that what we are doing to our kids, to my generation, to my kids' generation. I'm a college student. I will be faced with these problems in about 10, 15, 20 years, while a lot of your constituents are, really die off. They don't have to deal with, they don't have to shoot these guns in their wars. They don't have to deal with climate change. Your kids will. Those kids will. Now, I want to ask you something because I think you're trying to do a good job here. I think you're trying to give you and your staff members a good name. But the truth is, you do not understand what you and your staff members have different from these kids here today. Okay? I want to ask you, if you call yourself a Christian man, if you call yourself an Arkansan citizen, an American citizen, that stands for the Constitution, that represents kids like me, like them, in the city of Washington, D.C., with the world watching us, are you making the right decisions for these kids that are reading those textbooks while you are supporting the policies of a man who wants to grab women by the pussy? Answer honestly, the world is watching.
So,
Answer the question.
So Samson, it would seem that you've uncovered that we have a lot of people here who are not supportive of Donald Trump. Now we just had an election 3 months ago when 61% of Arkansans did support him. But ultimately, it's ultimately, it's not about Donald Trump, it's about us as Arkansans. And I've always believed, whether it's a president or whether it's another senator or another congressman, what Abraham Lincoln said: I will stand with any man when he is right for as long as he is right. When he goes wrong, I will part ways. So what I do in Washington is not ask who proposed an idea, but whether the idea is good for Arkansas. That's what I do in Washington, Samson. Ma'am, this man has been waiting for a long time.
Thank you, sir. My name is Marjay Hignite. And
I'm sorry, what was it, ma'am?
Marjay.
And you apparently work at Springdale High School?
Yes, I work at Springdale High School. Go dogs. I see you. First, shout out to my dreamers, because they're my heart. And my question deals with education. In your Facebook post supporting Betsy DeVos, you stated... In your statement on Facebook supporting Betsy DeVos, you stated she's rightly skeptical of any attempt by Washington to impose social engineering fads on Arkansas's parents and teachers. This freaks me out. This is not a curriculum statement. What social engineering means to me is integration during the civil rights movement, inclusion of our students with IEPs and 504s who were not allowed in the classroom when I was growing up. I remember it. They were not there. Do you remember them? They were not there. Here is my question. What does this statement mean to you? Do you support equity and opportunity? And will you promise to not cut the funding of our public schools in Springdale, Arkansas?
So Marcia, it seems like you've uncovered that Betsy DeVos may not be the most popular Secretary of Education here. So, I would say this though, if you feel, if you feel that strongly about the Secretary of Education, maybe the Department of Education has too much power. So, Marcia, so I suspect, Marcia, that you did not like a lot of No Child Left Behind Act, did you?
There were some issues with No Child Left Behind. I do think we test too much, but Arkansas didn't integrate without the federal government. I mean, we didn't bring in kids with disabilities without the federal government. That worries.
Although that was done not by the Department of Education, but by the 101st Airborne. So the reason I bring up No Child Left Behind, I know we got a lot of teachers here. My mother was a teacher and a principal, so I've heard for a long time about all of the problems that law has created for local school districts. That's why a little over a year ago, I supported the Every Student Succeeds Act, which said no national curriculums, which said the Department of Education can't mandate testing anymore, that's going to be done at the local level, and which gave power back to our state government in Little Rock and our local school boards. And I would not have voted for Betsy DeVos. I would not have voted for her if I had not talked to her and known that she supported those goals. Because I'll say this. So, look, I know there's a lot of different, in a place like Washington County and Benton County, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of money. You can have private schools and religious schools. Like where I grew up in Yale County, we don't have options like that. It's either the public school or homeschooling. And a lot of families can't afford to homeschool. So I'm committed to making our public schools the very best they can be all across Arkansas. Ma'am, you've been waiting patiently for a while.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Senator Cotton. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Julia Sampson. I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Both of my parents served in the military. My childhood, my life was very different than most people. When your mom's Women's Army Corps and your dad's a drill sergeant, my life is just very, very different. But both of my parents were able to serve in the military and to serve a country that didn't really care for them that much. People that looked like me, my parents were able to fight for freedom and justice. Rather than freedom and justice for all, they fought for freedom and justice for y'all. I how they did that. I can't imagine how they put their life on the lines. My dad was a combat veteran of Korea and Vietnam, Purple Hearts galore. But my parents were highly qualified, they were legitimate, they were competent, they were law-abiding people. I would expect no less of those qualities from the Commander-in-Chief. What I am asking is that presidents in the past have shared with us their tax returns. Remember those qualities: highly qualified, competent, and law-abiding. What we want to see in the tax returns, and it's already provisioned by law, what would you do to help bring that about in Congress to show this man's tax return? We need to know.
Well, Julia, first off, let me thank you for your family's history of service. You're 100% right that many people who served this country of color did not receive the respect and the honor they deserved at the time. We've gone some ways to redress that, but we have farther to go. So thank you for that. Your assessment of Donald Trump, I understand, I respect. The way we determine who our commander-in-chief in this country is through elections. And we just had an election. And this was a hotly contested issue during the election. And Donald Trump still won. And Donald Trump still files a financial disclosure statement every year, just the way every other federal elected official does.
I mean, the former president showed his birth certificate, my God.
Let him talk. The president files a financial disclosure statement every year, just like any other federal elected official does. And we just had an election where that was a hotly contested issue. Why don't let's go up here.
Good evening, Senator Cotton.
I'm sorry.
My name is Carla Martin.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry?
What was your name?
Carla Martin.
Carla, okay, thank you.
I'm a data analyst. I live and work in Fayetteville. I vote every time the polls open. And I will say that I've never voted for you. But after the presidential election somewhere in the fall, I saw a quote in the Northwest Arkansas Democrat Gazette where you said that you wanted to claw back some of the power from the presidency. And I saw that and thought, that's the first time I saw something in print that I agreed with you, and I have been looking for it. And I've been waiting and hoping, and I'm just, everything has looked like a rubber stamp. And while 60% of Arkansas voters did vote for Trump, I don't believe that's going to be 60% of the people who vote in the next election. The political landscape has changed for all of us. There are many people here who have never been to a town hall. You've never needed a venue this large, but thank you for finding one. president is not very popular in this part of the world. And he is providing you with so many opportunities to claw back power with these executive orders. The tax returns. I really was hoping you were going to come through on Betsy DeVos, but that's passed. What exactly are you going to claw back from Trump? Where is the rubber stamp going to stop, and where are you going to start work? Where are you going to earn my vote? Because Senator Cotton, I want to vote for you in the next election. I want to know what you're going to do for me to earn that vote. I was a Republican until 10 years ago, and the Republican Party made a huge shift, and well, they started messing with science class. But what are you going to do?
Well, thank you for your question. It's very important. The power that I'm talking about that we need to take back from the executive branch is your power. It's the power to make the laws that govern this country. And for too long, both parties, whether they're in Congress or in the White House, have given too much power away to unelected officials in Washington, D.C. That means that, and you talk about the next election, whether it's 2018 or whether it's 2020, you can't have an election that holds those unelected officials accountable. Just can't do it. So, what I want to do, I want to take some of that power back to the Congress, not for me, but for all of you. So you can then hold us accountable.
Specifically was to claw power back from the presidency.
Yeah, so probably the most important thing is that Congress should have to vote on regulations that have a big impact on our country. So if the bureaucracy passes a regulation that's going to impact your lives, that's going to cost you money, that's going to cost Arkansas jobs,
that's not the question.
You said, what kind of power do I want to take back?
The quote specifically was clawing back power from the presidency. And we've got executive orders that, I'm not talking about unelected officials. Your quote specifically was clawing back power from the presidency.
Well, the president is in charge of the entire executive branch. So it's the president's regulations. So,
yes, but he has been granted additional powers since the Patriot Act.
Do we want to go up here?
Hello. Hi, Senator Cotton. I'm Diane Bunton from Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you. My question is, I know you and your fellow Republicans are completely concerned about terrorism, Islamic terrorism, as you like to call it. But we have over 30,000 people a year killed here due to gun violence. Thank you, everybody. I would like to know two questions. When you and your Republican colleagues are going to do something about sensible background checks and gun laws, and also, why in the hell did you guys vote to allow the mentally adjudicated people to be able to pass a background check? Why? Why do you want guns in the hands of people adjudicated mentally ill? Sorry, it's a pet. I'm passionate.
So Diane's talking
Please
about
answer.
A vote last week that we repealed a regulation that infringed upon the rights of law-abiding citizens.
Oh, come on. We're not talking about that. Wait. No. We're talking about sensible background checks, and gun laws. No civilian needs a 30-round magazine, a high-powered assault rifle. Nobody needs that but the police and the military. We have had more people killed in 1 year due to gun violence in this country than ever by terrorism. Ever. And we are the only nation in this entire world that this is a problem. Because of our gun laws. What's next? Toddlers with guns?
Diane,
So what's your answer?
What is an assault weapon?
What is it? Don't fall back on that. I know where you're trying to trap me. I know that.
I'm just saying, you mentioned it.
The original question was, when are we going to do something about background checks? And why did you vote for mentally adjudicated people to be allowed to pass a background check?
So we have background checks in place now.
They're not sufficient. How about Dylan Roof?
We have background checks in place now, and any firearms dealer has to undergo.
We have a vetting process for refugees. Can't we have it for people who want to buy a gun?
Regarding the regulation last week, I suspect that very few of you would want to deprive someone of their First Amendment rights based on the due process that those people
That would be your party.
Sir, right here.
Senator Cotton, I'm Jeff Rich from right here in Springdale, Arkansas. Before I ask the question, can I address the audience real quickly? The more we yell, the less we get out of him. And frankly, I want answers out of him. So let him answer, please. Okay? Senator Cotton.
So thank you. Jeff from Springdale.
Yes, Jeff from Springdale. We talked about Nancy DeVos. You posted on your Facebook page how great she was. You received 6,500 comments from Arkansans. 97% of them said that they urged you not to blindly follow this Republican Party line and to vote against her confirmation. You didn't. Then, hang on, then here comes Scott Pruitt. I think you know what Arkansans feel about Scott Pruitt and about the devastation that's happening to our next door neighbor. You again ignored Arkansans, you followed the party line, and you voted to confirm this guy. You just said a few minutes ago that you believe that climate change is a real, present threat and that we cause it. Scott Pruitt doesn't believe that. And if you've seen the news in the last 2 hours, his emails confirm that. Since you've taken office, 95.2, an astonishing 95.2% of your senatorial votes have been directly aligned with the Republican agenda. So, my question, from your record, it appears clear that you seem more interested in building your brand with Mitch McConnell and the Republican elites in Washington.
I'm sorry, Jeff, could you start over? I couldn't hear. Could you start over the question?
Hang on. From your record, it appears clear that you seem more interested in building your brand with Mitch McConnell and the other Washington Republican elites than you are in representing the interests of Arkansans. So my question, come on guys, my question is this. As our representative of the natural state, when you continue to ignore us as constituents, why would we possibly pay you any attention when this 6-year temp job is over?
So I have to say,
Let him answer.
I have to say, Jeff, Senator McConnell would be surprised if he was here tonight to hear that you think that I just vote the way he wants me to all the time. So I vote
95.2% of the
Just
time. I'll
give-
give you credit for 4.6.
Let me give you a couple examples. A little over a year ago, we had a highway bill that was once again funded with smoke and mirrors, and once again not fair to Arkansas. He championed that bill. I voted no on it. About a year and a half ago, we had a vote on setting up a framework for debate about the Iran nuclear deal. It was 98-1. I was the one against it. So I am always going to do what I think is best for Arkansans. That doesn't matter if it's Mitch McConnell's.
Let him answer, please.
And as you've seen here tonight, we've got differences of opinion. We've got 2,000, I think about 2,000 people here tonight, which is a great turnout, and I appreciate all of you. But there's another 3 million Arkansans that write to my office and call my office and come see me and come to other town halls. So the best I can do, the best any elected official can do, the best we can do is listen to all of you, take into account all of the facts and evidence and all of your positions, and try to do what we think is best. If I get in a position, like any elected official, if I get in a position where 2/3 of Arkansans agree with me, that's a great position to be in. That means that a million Arkansans still disagree. And the answer to that is elections. And if you don't like the positions I've taken, then you don't vote for me. That's the best I can do for you.
Fair answer, thank you.
Okay, so we'll do 2 more. How's that? 2 more. 2 more. This lady's been waiting. 2 more.
Let her talk.
Thank you. My name is Marcia Arbosneed, and I am actually speaking on behalf of Captain Helen Perry, Army Reserve, who is also the Arkansas State Fellow for the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, and I believe she has been in contact with your office as well as Senator Bozeman and the congressman. And she has apologizes that she cannot be here because unfortunately the state of Arkansas does not provide sufficient support to the caregivers of wounded veterans. Her husband, Sergeant Matthew Perry, is a wounded veteran and was retired from the Marine Corps last year after being wounded in Afghanistan. Her question is, what are you planning to do for wounded, ill, disabled, retired veterans in Arkansas in the future, and especially for their caregivers who get, in reality, almost no support?
Thank you. So, thank you very much for bringing the question, and pass our thanks along to Helen and Matthew for their service and for their sacrifice as well. I am committed to keeping all the promises that we made to our veterans. That means reforming our VA, because too often our VA has not served veterans, in particular wounded veterans from this generation who have particular kinds of wounds, you know, whether they're traumatic brain injury, injuries that we can't always see, or whether it's an amputation. Now here in Arkansas, we're pretty fortunate that our 2 big VA hospitals in Fayetteville and Little Rock haven't had some of the problems that other places have had, like in Phoenix. Now, I know they're not perfect. I bet some of you have had negative experiences, but by and large, we've had, the reporting I get is positive experiences. But what I want to make sure, you're shaking your head, so you may know about a negative experience. I hear those as well. But by and large, I think we've got good people working in Fayetteville and Little Rock and all the satellite clinics. I want to make sure that we empower them with the right kind of tools, the best practices from private health insurance and private health care and benefits processing claims, so they don't have some of the struggles that I've heard from so many veterans of my friends. As it goes for caregivers, we need to do a much better job of providing for caregivers.
Much better.
We need to.
Much better.
Some of you are probably aware. I mean, caregivers basically depend on private charity, and that's a shame. We ought to do a better job with our VA budget of giving flexibilities to the families who need it. We took a small step in that direction a couple years ago to encourage people to have the option of either the VA system or seeing a local provider. We can take more steps in giving them more flexibility of using those benefits for caregivers, because it might be better for a family to be able to provide for an air ticket or hotel room or long-term stay facility than just going to the VA. So that's what I would say to you.
The most recent effort on behalf of the VA in order to allow veterans to go to facilities that were more than 30 miles away, et cetera, was unfortunately had horrible unintended consequences and needs to be fixed because it was actually worse than what they had. And it provided nothing for the caregivers. Caregivers provide all of the care for their wounded veterans that are ill or disabled with no reimbursement and no assistance, essentially. That is what the Elizabeth Dole Foundation is trying to do on behalf of veterans, but they shouldn't have to depend on charity to do it.
I agree.
And it is important that they get the care that they need.
Thank you. I agree. And please thank the Perrys for us as well. Okay, one more question.
Are we gonna stop selling bombs to Saudi Arabia? Obama, Bush, Hillary sold bombs to Saudi Arabia. Are you gonna stop selling bombs to Saudi Arabia?
We're gonna go in the order.
It's a brutal dictatorship. Half your income taxes go to war and military. That's why our national debt's $20 trillion. So we have to stop this profit over people thing. It's not Christian.
So we have a young woman up here. We'll do one more question up here. I've got some staff members who are going to be here. If you haven't been able to share your question or your comment, if you need help with the federal government, the VA, the Social Security, please see them. Pass along. We'll get back to you. But this young lady up here. Did you go?
Toby. I'm Toby.
I'm sorry. What was your name, bud?
Toby.
Tony?
Toby.
Tony. Okay, Tony.
Well, so Donald Trump thinks a wall is more important than kids' games and stuff. But to kids, it's more important. And Donald Trump makes Mexicans not important to people who are in Arkansas who like Mexicans, like me, my grandma, and all my people. And he believes and he's deleting all the parks in PBS Kids just to make a wall. He shouldn't do that. He shouldn't.
So
He shouldn't do all that stuff for just the wall. And
Tony, how old are you?
I am almost 8, but I'm 7.
Well, Tony, thank you. Thank you. Toby, sorry.
Thank you.
Toby, T-O-B-Y, sorry. Toby, thank you for coming. I know a lot of 7-year-olds, this isn't their idea of fun, but I appreciate you being here. And I just want to say that whatever your background, whatever your heritage, whatever your race or ethnicity or religious belief, part of the fabric of America is that we're a melting pot and that we are all one people. And what we we want Mexico to be a healthy, strong partner. We want to help them to deal with the problems that they've got with drug cartels and crime and grow their economy. But we also have to protect our own citizens from that, and that's where the wall comes in. So Toby, you can still have one and have the other. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I've got another appointment I've got to get to.
Thanks for coming.
Once again,
dinner time on a Wednesday.
I want to thank you once again for coming. If you're on my staff, raise your hand, please. Raise your hand. We got lots of people with clipboards. Please share your comment, share your concern. If you need help with a federal agent, they'll help you get back to you. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your help. Thank you for making a good night.